All right, let's get into it. Welcome everyone to our little study group for PP 5361, Theory and Management of Public Service Organizations. Today we are tackling a huge topic, leadership. We're going to break down all the key ideas straight from Chapter 7 of our textbook, Managing Human Behavior in Public and Nonprofit Organizations, so we can really get a solid grip on what it actually means to lead.
I wanted to kick things off with this quote from Lao Tzu because it perfectly sets the stage for everything we're about to discuss. It gets at this idea that maybe the best leadership isn't about being that hero out in front. It's about empowering people so completely that they feel like, hey, we did this. So keep that thought in the back of your mind as we move through this.
So yeah, for real, let's do this. We're going to unpack what leadership is all about, not just as a theory, but for our actual careers in public service.
Okay, so first things first, we've got to solve a bit of a puzzle. Before we can jump into all the new, modern ways of thinking about leadership, we need to understand why the old school, really rigid models just don't fly anymore.
I mean, think about it. The world we work in, especially in public and nonprofit sectors, it's complicated. It is constantly changing, everything is connected, and it's filled with so many different kinds of people and ideas. That old top-down, my way or the highway style of leadership, it just can't keep up. It actually ends up smothering the creativity and the bold thinking we desperately need to tackle today's big problems. So here's a really classic but super important distinction. You've got management, which is all about efficiency, doing things right, and then you have leadership, which is about vision and values, doing the right thing. Managers are great at getting the trains to run on time. Leaders are the ones asking if the train is even going to the right destination in the first place. They definitely overlap, but that focus on purpose and people is what really sets leadership apart.
So how did we get from there to here? Well, our modern ideas about leadership didn't just pop up out of thin air. The whole journey really started with this one very specific, almost larger-than-life idea, the leader as this special, heroic figure.
And this brings us to that timeless question, right? The one that really kicked off the whole scientific study of leadership. Early on, researchers were totally convinced that if they could just answer this one question, they could crack the code for greatness.
And that conviction led to what we call the trait approach. Seriously, researchers would look at all these famous leaders and basically try to create a shopping list of essential qualities. And yeah, they found some patterns, things like intelligence, self-confidence, but, and this is a huge but, a researcher named Ralph Stogville came along, reviewed all these studies, and basically said, hold on, it turns out just having the traits doesn't make you a leader. The situation you're in and the people you're leading matter just as much, if not more.
Okay, so if traits weren't the magic bullet, what was next? Well, the focus shifted from who leaders are to what leaders do. Some really big studies, one at Ohio State and another at the University of Michigan, kind of boiled it all down to these two core behaviors. Are you all about the task, just getting the job done, or are you all about the relationships, making the team stronger? This simple split became the bedrock for so much of what followed.
And Blake and Mouton took that idea and made this brilliant visual, the managerial grid. It literally plots those two concerns on a graph, and you can see the different styles that pop up. Down in one corner, you might have a country club leader. Super nice, but nothing gets done. In another, you have the authority compliance leader who drives results, but burns everyone out. The goal, the place you want to be, is that top right corner, team management. That's where a high concern for people actually fuels high performance. It's the sweet spot.
Now this is where things get really, really interesting. After looking at traits and then behaviors, leadership theory had this massive aha moment. People realized there is no single best way to lead. The most effective leadership, well, it depends.
Hersey and Blanchard's situational leadership model is the perfect example of this. It says a great leader has to be like a great doctor. You have to diagnose the situation first. You have to look at your team's readiness for one specific task. I mean, think about it. You wouldn't manage a brand new intern the same way you'd coach a seasoned pro who's just a little nervous about a new project, right? For the intern, you might need to be very direct. You tell them what to do. For the pro, you participate to boost their confidence. It's all about being flexible.
Then you have Fiedler's contingency theory, which really doubles down on this whole it depends idea. Fiedler argued that success is all about the match between a leader's natural style and how favorable the situation is. So a really task-focused leader might be amazing in a crisis where you need quick, clear decisions, but that same leader might totally struggle in a stable environment that requires long-term collaboration. It's all about the right leader for the right moment.
So we've gone from traits to behaviors to situations, but modern theories dig even deeper.
It stops being just about what you do or where you do it, and it starts being about why you do it. This is leadership with a real purpose.
And this is absolutely huge for us, especially in public and nonprofit work. Values-based leadership says it all has to start from the inside. It's about looking in the mirror, understanding your own principles, and leading with integrity. You can't inspire an organization to do good if you haven't sorted out your own moral compass first. It's about genuine humility, leading from the heart.
James McGregor Burns gave us this really powerful idea. He said there's a huge difference between transactional leadership, which is just a simple exchange, like you do your job, I pay you, and transformational leadership. This is totally different. It's a relationship where the leader and the followers actually inspire each other and lift each other up. They become better, more motivated people together, all because they're chasing a goal that's bigger than any one person. And then there's servant leadership, which basically flips the whole traditional leadership pyramid upside down. Robert Greenleaf said a leader's #1 motivation has to be to serve. And the ultimate test of a servant leader isn't about profits or metrics. It's this. Are the people you're serving growing as individuals? Are they becoming healthier, wiser, more autonomous, and more likely to become servant leaders themselves? That is a profound shift in thinking. So what do these purpose-driven leaders actually do? Well, Kouzes and Posner surveyed tons of people and boiled it down to these 5 core practices. First, you have to model the way. You live your values. Then, you inspire a shared vision. You get everyone excited about the future. You challenge the process. You're always looking for better ways to do things. You enable others to act. You give them the power and trust to do their best work. And finally, you encourage the heart. You celebrate the wins and recognize people's contributions. These are the real, tangible things great leaders do. Okay, let's bring it all into the here and now. What does leadership look like today in our crazy, connected, fast-moving world? Well, the models have evolved yet again.
This right here is a massive shift. We're finally moving past that leader as hero idea and seeing leadership as a group sport. It's not about who has the fancy title or the corner office anymore. It's a dynamic process that can come from anywhere in the organization. In today's best teams, anyone can and should step up and lead when their expertise is needed.
Daniel Goleman's work on emotional intelligence has been a complete game changer. His point is that the most effective leaders connect with people on an emotional level. They get themselves, they can manage their own reactions, and, most importantly, they have empathy. They can tune into the emotional frequency of their team and create what he calls resonance, that feeling of being in sync, connected, and motivated. It's powerful stuff. And of course, in today's world, you absolutely have to be culturally competent. Leading a diverse team, whether it's differences in culture, generation, or just personality, means you can't have a one-size-fits-all approach. The goal isn't to pretend those differences don't exist, it's to build bridges between them, to recognize them, respect them, and find that common ground that unites everybody.
So, after all this theory, what are we supposed to do with it? The chapter gives us this fantastic practical roadmap. It starts with you. Know yourself. Then, watch and learn from leaders you admire. Use safe spaces, like this class, to try out different approaches. And then, just do it. Model the values you believe in and get in the game by taking on leadership roles. Nothing beats hands-on experience.
And that really brings us to the final, most important point. If there's one thing to take away from this whole chapter, it's this. Leadership is not a title on a business card. It's a relationship you build with other people. It's all about trust, connection, and a shared sense of purpose. So, the real question for all of us is, how are you going to build yours?